The young and the restless spoilers shock in the intricate world of love and deception. Nothing is ever as straightforward as it appears. For years, the prediction that Billy and Phyllis would eventually come together had circulated like a tantalizing prophecy, a promise of a complete, fulfilling love that seemed destined to blossom. Friends and foes alike speculated about their future, envisioning a union that would heal old wounds and bring a sense of wholeness to both lives. However, fate, with its penchant for cruelty and irony, had laid a trap far more sinister than anyone could have imagined. The trap was set long before it came to fruition. Beneath the surface of these seemingly predestined unions lurked ulterior motives and intricate schemes designed to dismantle the hopes of those involved. What appeared to be a promising romance between Billy and Phyllis was nothing more than a carefully orchestrated diversion, a deceptive web intended to ensnare and destroy the very foundations of trust and commitment. Amidst this elaborate scheme, Sally found herself standing at a crossroads. For years, she had endured a tumultuous relationship with Billy, a relationship filled with both fleeting moments of tenderness and deep-seated feelings of humiliation and betrayal. Though part of her longed to break free, the fear of public disgrace held her captive. Determined not to be the subject of ridicule, Sally resolved that she would not simply vanish into the shadows. Instead, she would exact a form of revenge that, in her mind, was a righteous reclaiming of her dignity. One fateful evening, as the weight of her emotions pressed down on her like a relentless storm, Sally sought refuge in a familiar haunt, a dimly lit bar where secrets were spilled with every clink of a glass. It was here, amidst the muted conversations and the low hum of melancholic tunes, that fate brought her together with Adam. The meeting was anything but coincidental. The bar's warm, alcohol-infused embrace quickly blurred the edges of reality, and as the night progressed, the two found themselves drowning their doubts and regrets in shared libations. Between sips of their drinks, the conversation took an unexpected, emotional turn. Sally, her voice tinged with both vulnerability and accusation, confronted Adam with a question that had long tormented her: "Why did you sleep with Chelsea when we were still together?" The question hung in the air, heavy with implications of betrayal and shattered trust. In that moment, every glance, every pause, seemed to carry the weight of their past, a time when promises were made and hearts were bound in fragile loyalty. Adam, sensing the gravity of the situation, fought to maintain his composure. His eyes, usually steady and confident, flickered with a mixture of anguish and resolve. "Sally, I swear to you, I never did that," he pleaded, his voice soft yet determined. "I have always loved you. I never let anything come between us. Chelsea was nothing more than a fleeting distraction. I kept my distance, always holding on to what we had." His words, earnest and full of promise, were meant to reassure, to mend the fissures that had begun to mar their relationship. For a fleeting moment, the intensity of Adam's declaration softened the blow of Sally's hurt. As she listened, the icy walls around her heart began to show signs of thawing. A guilt settled over her, a heavy, nagging remorse that perhaps she had overreacted, that her actions might have irreversibly damaged something that once had the potential to flourish. In that suspended moment of uncertainty, it seemed as if there might still be a chance for reconciliation. Perhaps, just perhaps, Sally might find her way back to Adam, their shared past offering a pathway to healing. Yet, as the night wore on and the alcohol continued to dull their senses, a hidden truth loomed over the conversation, a truth that neither could yet fully grasp. Unknown to Sally, her life was on the brink of an upheaval that would shatter any tentative plans for a renewed love. Amidst the haze of emotions and the bittersweet warmth of the bar, Sally was unknowingly carrying a secret that could turn her world upside down. She was pregnant. The news, silent and unspoken, hung over her like an ominous cloud, waiting for the moment to reveal its devastating impact. The real twist in this tangled narrative, however, lay in the nature of the impending responsibility. Deep down, it was clear that the child growing within her was not Adam's. Instead, every indication pointed to the fact that the baby belonged to Billy, the man with whom Sally had once shared a bitter, complicated past. For Billy, the prospect of fatherhood, especially under such contentious circumstances, was a bitter pill to swallow. The notion that his child could be born into a situation rife with betrayal and deception was inconceivable, and the mere thought ignited a flame of fury within him. As the truth of Sally's condition began to unfurl in her mind, the implications grew more and more complex. The prospect of a child, which should have been a symbol of new beginnings, now threatened to become the center of a storm that neither Adam nor Billy could navigate with ease. For Adam, the revelation that he could not be the father was devastating. His sense of self, tied so intricately to his unwavering fidelity and the promises he had made to Sally, was suddenly at risk of being marred by a painful rejection of responsibility. He could not possibly accept the idea of becoming involved in a situation where the baby, an innocent life yet to be born, was indisputably Billy's. Meanwhile, Billy's own turmoil was far from resolved. Although some might see the possibility of reuniting with Sally as a chance to right past wrongs, the reality was far more tangled. Billy, who had long harbored unresolved emotions and a simmering resentment, found himself caught between the allure of redemption and the sting of betrayal. The arrival of the unborn child was a double-edged sword. It symbolized a future that Billy might never have chosen willingly, a future where the consequences of past actions threatened to resurface with full force. And so, in the dim glow of that fateful bar, as Sally and Adam navigated the treacherous waters of their emotions, an unseen storm was gathering on the horizon. The promises of love, loyalty, and mutual understanding that Adam had offered were now inextricably linked to a secret that could unravel their connection irrevocably. For Sally, the internal conflict was monumental. Torn between a desire to reclaim her dignity and the crushing weight of impending responsibility, she teetered on the edge of a decision that would determine not only her future but the fates of the men entangled in her life. Could Sally, battered by her own guilt and fear of humiliation, find the strength to embrace the truth and perhaps return to Adam? Or would the unyielding reality of her pregnancy, one that was undeniably Billy's, force her down a path she never wanted to tread? For Adam, whose reputation as a faithful and steadfast partner was now under siege by circumstances beyond his control, the road ahead promised more confrontation than reconciliation. His anger and disappointment, already simmering from past misunderstandings, threatened to erupt into a fierce battle of wills, particularly with a vengeful Kyle waiting in the wings, a man whose own grudges and protective instincts could only fuel the fire of impending conflict. As the night gave way to the early hints of dawn, the tangled threads of betrayal, loyalty, and unforeseen consequences interwove to create a tapestry of drama that promised to escalate in the coming days. Each character, from Sally and Adam to Billy and even the shadow of an inevitable confrontation with Kyle, was now bound to a destiny that none could escape. The promise of love had been subverted by the cruel twist of fate, a twist that would ultimately force them all to confront the painful truth that in their world, trust was fragile, and the path to redemption was paved with the debris of shattered promises. In the crucible of these revelations, the characters would soon learn that every decision carried a weight far greater than anticipated, and that the truth, however bitter, had a way of unmasking even the most deeply hidden secrets. The stage was set for a showdown that would determine not only the future of their relationships but the very nature of their identities. And as each new day dawned, the question remained, could they ever hope to rebuild what had been so ruthlessly torn apart, or was their legacy destined to be one of endless strife, heartbreak, and irrevocable betrayal? Elena's words hit Sally like a tidal wave on an otherwise ordinary afternoon. With a trembling smile and eyes glistening with both apprehension and hope, Elena informed her, "Sally, the test results are in, you're nearly 1 month pregnant." In that singular moment, the world around Sally slowed to a standstill as a flood of conflicting emotions rushed over her. This child was everything she had ever longed for, a tangible piece of hope that had eluded her for far too long. Yet, in the shadows of that hope lurked the memories of pain and betrayal, etched by the men who had passed through her life. For years, Sally had yearned for the nurturing embrace of motherhood, a dream so close yet persistently slipping away due to the turmoil stirred by those around her. The relentless conflicts, the emotional roller coaster with Billy and the countless disappointments with other men had left her feeling exhausted and, at times, utterly dejected. Every time she reached out for love, she was met with a tumult of broken promises and a sense of overwhelming fatigue. It was as if fate had conspired to keep her from experiencing the fulfillment she so desperately craved. Now, the situation was more complicated than ever before. Sally was carrying Billy's child, a beautiful symbol of what might have been a shared future. However, Billy's heart was entangled elsewhere. With his eyes set on reuniting with Phyllis, Billy seemed determined to reclaim a past romance that had little to do with the family he had once built with Sally. The thought of Billy returning to Phyllis, while Sally nurtured the life growing inside her, stirred a painful irony within her soul. She could not allow herself to become the pawn in their ceaseless game of rekindled love and broken promises. Sally knew that trying to salvage any semblance of affection from Billy or bending to the whims of his old flame would only perpetuate the cycle of heartache. Moreover, the possibility of leaning on Adam, the man who had once been her confidant and lover, was equally unthinkable. Adam, with his assurances of fidelity and love, had become another source of disappointment, a man whose promises now seemed as fragile as the pieces of her shattered dreams. The notion of lying to him or clinging to a relationship built on deception was something she could no longer tolerate. In that moment of clarity, Sally made a resolute decision: she would choose to walk her own path. She would embrace the challenge of single motherhood and raise her child in an environment filled with genuine love and compassion, a stark contrast to the toxic relationships that had defined her past. This was her chance to break free from the relentless cycle of emotional manipulation and to finally give life the genuine happiness it deserved. Sally envisioned a future where her child would grow up surrounded by warmth, understanding, and a sense of unwavering security. The idea of being alone in this journey, while daunting, also held a liberating promise. No longer would she allow herself to be dragged down by the regrets of failed relationships or the weight of external expectations. Her focus was now singular and undivided, ensuring that her baby would have a happy, comfortable life, free from the burdens of past entanglements. With a mixture of determination and vulnerability, Sally began planning for the life ahead. She realized that true happiness would not come from clinging to the remnants of a love that had long since withered. Instead, it would emerge from the courage to start anew, to build a sanctuary where the only person who truly mattered was her child. Every decision, from choosing a modest yet welcoming apartment to seeking out a community that valued independence and support, was made with her child's well-being at the forefront of her mind. In the quiet moments of solitude, when the world seemed to fade away and only the soft hum of her thoughts remained, Sally allowed herself to dream of a future untouched by the chaos of her past. She pictured a small nursery bathed in gentle sunlight, the walls adorned with colors that spoke of hope and renewal. In her heart, she knew that the baby was not just a symbol of what she had lost or been denied, but a living testament to the resilience and strength that had always resided within her. As the days turned into weeks, Sally embraced the transformation that pregnancy brought. The physical changes, the moments of joy mixed with bouts of anxiety, and the overwhelming sense of responsibility were all part of a journey that she was ready to undertake on her own terms. With each passing day, the bond between her and her unborn child grew stronger, reaffirming her decision to focus on what truly mattered, a future defined by love, not by the mistakes or betrayals of those who had come before. In her quiet determination, Sally began to reclaim her identity. No longer would she be defined by the roles imposed on her by others, a discarded lover, a scapegoat in a tangled web of manipulation, or a mere afterthought in the lives of men who cared more about their own desires than her happiness. Instead, she would redefine what it meant to be a mother, a role she would embrace with pride, dignity, and an unyielding commitment to her child's well-being. Sally's newfound independence resonated in every small decision she made. She signed up for parenting classes, researched child-friendly communities, and even started a modest savings plan to secure a future free from financial worries. Friends and acquaintances began to notice a subtle shift in her demeanor, a quiet confidence that suggested she was ready to face the challenges ahead head-on, without the crutch of someone else's love or validation. Though the prospect of single motherhood was daunting, Sally found solace in the belief that love comes in many forms. She drew inspiration from stories of resilient women who had overcome insurmountable odds to forge lives of happiness and fulfillment. Each success story, each personal triumph, was a beacon of hope that reassured her that she, too, could create a life that was entirely her own, a life where her child's smile would be the only measure of true success. In the midst of these transformative changes, Sally remained resolute in her decision to not allow anyone to manipulate or define her happiness. She had experienced enough heartbreak and disappointment to know that the only person she could truly rely on was herself. With a deep breath and a quiet promise to her unborn child, she vowed that no matter what obstacles lay ahead, she would provide a home filled with love, stability, and an unwavering commitment to her own independence. In the grand tapestry of life, sometimes the most painful moments serve as catalysts for profound transformation. Sally's journey, marked by heartbreak and betrayal, had led her to a crossroads where she could either succumb to despair or rise above it with courage and determination. Choosing the latter, she embarked on a path that celebrated her strength, a path where the joy of creating life overshadowed the bitterness of past failures. As she prepared for the arrival of her child, Sally envisioned not only a new beginning for herself but also a future where her child would learn the invaluable lesson that true happiness comes from within. With every step she took towards establishing a secure and nurturing environment, she reclaimed a piece of her identity that had long been lost amidst the chaos of unfulfilled promises and unreliable love. In this new chapter of her life, Sally understood that the path to fulfillment was paved with difficult decisions and personal sacrifices. Yet, as long as her baby was happy and secure, she knew that she had made the right choice. The support of friends, the quiet strength she discovered within herself, and the promise of a future built on genuine love and self-reliance became the cornerstones of her renewed purpose. No longer would Sally allow the shadows of her past to dictate her future. In choosing to raise her child on her own, she not only embraced the possibility of a better life but also set a powerful example for her child that sometimes, the most courageous act of all is to love oneself enough to walk away from the pain and build a life defined by hope, integrity, and unconditional love. And so, with a heart full of determination and a spirit unburdened by the failed relationships of the past, Sally stepped forward into a future that was hers alone to shape. The baby growing inside her was not just a symbol of what she had longed for, it was a promise of new beginnings, a chance to create a legacy built on the strength of a woman who refused to let the missteps of others define her destiny. All that mattered now was the happiness and comfort of the little life she was about to bring into the world, a beacon of hope that would guide both of them towards a brighter tomorrow.